Party like, party. Project. Ryan and Kevin, they're spitting the truth, keeping it real, keeping it orange and blue. Talking recruit, who's next in line? Line our pride, it's about that time. Orange and blue, yeah, that's how we do. Post game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue. From the court to the field, every play, every step. Debating the cause where the game is at. Who's rising, who's falling, who's making the cut? Line 9 for life, never stuck in the rut. Okay, recruiting buzzer got the inside line. Post game chatter, they're always on time. Breaking it down, they're the voices you trust. Orange and blue, yeah, they repping for us. Orange and blue, yeah, that's how we do. Post game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue, yeah. So tune in, lean back, let the wisdom flow. Ryan and Kevin with the knowledge they throw. Line 9 Nation, this one's for you. Forever proud, keeping it orange and blue, yeah. Orange and blue, orange and blue, yeah. Orange and blue, orange and blue, yeah.
Welcome to another edition of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Schroet, joined as always by my co-host Kevin Ducey. Probably wondering how happy he is with all his Bears gear on. So obviously good Sunday, Kev.
Yeah, absolutely. Bears won. It was they're the cardiac kids right now, but you take it. There's no such thing as a given win in the NFL. Every win is sacred, and so they're fighting for playoff positions. Pretty cool to be excited about football heading into Thanksgiving for the Bears and the Illini. And yes. I'm even more excited about what we got popping here in just a second on the show.
Yeah, and speaking of Bears, I think there might be a little Packer flavor today. Mix them all. Just a little Packer flavor. So with Illinois, Maryland, who better to come on and talk about this matchup than somebody that maybe has played for both of those teams, So former Illini linebacker Trey Watson joins us. What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
We're happy to have you. A lot going on, obviously, with Bears, Packers, Illinois, Maryland. So perfect time to have you on. Former Illini, 3-year player at the university. We looked over some of your stats earlier. I remember you very well. 16 tackles against Michigan State your junior year was your career high, which is pretty dope.
And what about academic All Big Ten, like all 3 years at Illinois and at Maryland, I believe as well.
Yeah, we were going to get to that, but yeah, very intelligent, and then played his final season at Maryland. So, and I remember that year you guys kicked Illinois' butt because Lovie Smith decided kicking field goals was more important than scoring touchdowns.
Well, we also had some middle linebacker from Maryland was just laying dudes out that game. Like you played inspired ball. I watched you play football for 4 years. You played pretty inspired that day, didn't you, Trey? Like you were pretty fired up to play against us.
Oh, I mean, it was a unique opportunity.
I was like, what did we do to you? I was like, who hurt you? I was like, why did you leave?
oh yeah, no, hey, look, there was some hurt in there now, but hey, that's that's for those people to understand, and they had to live with it, so it's all good.
Yeah, you and I had a brief exchange on Twitter shortly, probably after you graduated, and I was like, man, why'd you leave or something like that? And you're like, that's for another time. But you know what? That's 7 years ago, 8 years ago. That's water under the bridge. Maybe if you and I could talk about it offline, that'd be cool. But we don't need to air any laundry like that today. But Trey, tell us what you're up to now. You coach it now, correct? And you got some podcast stuff. Tell the listeners what you got going on now.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of just dipping and dabbing in everything football, man. Yeah, I coach high school football here in Tampa, Florida. Jesuit High School. We're starting our playoff run this week. So excited about that. Been doing that for a couple of years and have been exploring college and NFL coaching opportunities. Obviously nothing has stuck to this point, but it's something that I'm very interested in. And then I'm host of the Hitman's Haven podcast with my dad. We do that on a weekly basis, talking NFL, talking Packers football, and really just life in general. And then
why Packers football? Is there anything you have any intrigue there? Interest?
Yeah, there's another Watson out there doing his thing. Was it? This will be his third game back. Tomorrow. since the ACL injury against the Bears in a game he shouldn't have been playing in last year. But yeah, it is what it is, man. So, enjoying, getting to talk about him and the things he's doing and being a part of his journey from afar and all that kind of stuff. And then trying to get broadcasting going, man. I got to do my first game with ESPN earlier this season. Did some work with the Big Ten Network over the summer. So, like I said, anything related to the game and really just sports in general, I'm exploring it and we're seeing what's out there.
We're still
That's
pulling
awesome.
for you, man. And, and even as a avid Bears fan, I wasn't even thinking. I just had my Bears stuff on for watching the game today. It wasn't like I'm like trying to start some Packers, but I pull for Christian because of you. And it's unfortunate he's had a hard time staying healthy. But you know what? I think some of that may come with the territory when you're 6'5" and that fast, man. It's hard for the body to hold up. But he's an extremely talented receiver and he's an exciting player in the league if he's healthy. And I hope that he can stay healthy and then maybe sign with the Bears in the offseason or something. No, when's his contract up? When's he a free agent?
Yeah, so I mean, they extended his rookie deal one more year, so he got a little extension. And I say little, and it was like $11 or $12 million. So, but yeah, he got a 1 year deal, which worked out right. I mean, he had gotten hurt, so he didn't know how much of his contract year he was going to miss. And they really like him. He's obviously been a starter from the moment he walked into the building, and there's no one on his team for sure that can replicate what he does. And very few in the league can look to do, the things he does in the manner that he does them. So it worked out for all of them to get that done. And yeah, he's just gotta stay out there and keep being consistent the way he always has been, and his big payday will come sooner than later.
Right on.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll pray for his health, right? Like, even though I'd want to see the Bears beat the Packers and whatnot, man, I'd love to see him healthy and get a nice big deal. And part of that is because I saw the way that you left it on the field for the Illini your 3 years here. You were always kind and gracious to me when I would reach out to you on Twitter back in the day and still do. So obviously that's why you're here. Hey, with that being said, what can you tell us about, like, we talked a little bit before the show, you still follow Illinois. You certainly follow Maryland. That's where you graduated from. Where do you see Maryland right now, and what are your picks? What are your keys for this game? What does that Illinois need to do to win this game? Where do they need to be careful? What's Maryland going to bring to this game that Illinois needs to be worried about?
I mean, unfortunately, right now Maryland is a bit of a sinking ship. I mean, you're talking about starting the season 4-0, with three of the most gut wrenching losses that you could ever have, right? Told you there's no reason that shouldn't have been a 7-0 team. And then, you play Indiana, number 2 in the country, for good reason. And they put it on them a little bit. And then yesterday had another letdown against Rutgers. So, man, it's a super young and talented team. But that, even with the youth, you still want to see them finish. And right now they just don't have the ability to finish on any level. The quarterback looks like he can be a guy for a very long time. With Malik his legs. Right? Yeah, Malik. I mean, with his legs. Yeah. The other day, I think he set a Maryland quarterback rushing record. I mean, first or second play of the game, he had a 70-yard touchdown run. And he's certainly talented with his arm. I mean, he's been lighting folks up. 2 defensive ends. I know they've kind of been in and out of the lineup the last couple of weeks, but at one point they were number 1 and 2 in the country for freshman edge rushers in terms of sack production. But other than that, man, it's just been just leaving things on the table. And I think you're looking at Illinois, not the season they wanted, but the season they wanted was to be at the front of Big Ten contention and then looking at a playoff spot. And tough losses that kind of have them on the outside looking in for the time being. But I think they're coming out of a bye week. Probably looking to get some guys healthy. I know that's been a struggle for the team as well. They got to be happy to be able to kind of get things back going for this back stretch of the season against the Maryland team. Like when someone's down, my biggest thing is keep them down. Don't let them get going against me. And I would assume that Coach Bielema and the staff are looking to do the same thing.
And does that come with the territory though? Having pretty much your best players being freshmen. I've noticed that they keep putting banged up guys out there. They had someone got banged up again. It was one of the defensive ends. They had him on a snap count, and he got banged up again. It was one of the freshmen defensive end.
Yeah.
And it looks like, man, if they put him back out there next week, I'm going to be honest, it looks probably like the same thing is going to keep happening. So is that just something with having it is a very talented young Maryland team, but is that just something that comes with the territory, though? Your first year in college football and being so solely dependent on so many of them?
I mean, it's definitely playing a dangerous game having so much youth, because youth are just prone to some mistakes that you kind of just have to learn from experience. However, that's the coach's job, right? Is you're making a decision to put these guys out there in crunch time, and they're justifying it by playing really well for the most part. But like freshmen or not, a 20-point lead is a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? At home in conference play. The freshmen were in to get that lead. Go ahead.
Sorry, Trey. If my internet froze, I thought you stopped talking there, and I interrupted you. My apologies. But you dealt with some of that with the Lovey era, right? That was like Lovey played a lot of freshmen. That was his deal, right? And so you had to deal with that as a veteran on that team as well. Is that correct?
For sure. I mean, so Lovey's thing was, he wanted to come in and kind of clean house a little bit and do it his way. And at times it was he felt like he could do it very transactionally like the NFL. But the only thing is in college, they don't leave, right? Like you don't cut a guy who played poorly. They're still there. They're still on scholarship. They're still going to school. They're still at practice and all those kinds of things. So there's a relationship component, and they're also 18, 19, 20 versus being grown men getting paid a ton of money. So it went over even more poorly. And that's why you're talking about, 3-9, my redshirt sophomore year, 2-10, my redshirt junior year. So there were definitely some elements of it there. The problem in Maryland is these are, highly rated recruits, guys that are coming in with pedigree, and they're immediately justifying it in big games against good competition. They're playing well. And my biggest fear for them anyway is everyone else in the country sees what those kids are doing. There are teams out there that have more money than what Maryland has to be able to continue to feed those kids. And those kids are going to say, oh, well, if Notre Dame or Ohio State or Michigan, the teams that have been known to poach our guys, as well as Bama and Auburn in the past, they're going to go pay that kid, and he's going to come there and he's going to be part of a winning team and be able to produce the same way or better. And then you kind of end up in that inevitable or that endless cycle of just not being able to get over the hump. How often can you recruit and hit every time on freshmen? That's hard to do.
Yeah, because
I was just going to revolve that into Loxley's seat right now.
Right.
He's recruited well, and he always really did. As he was at Illinois when Illinois was really good with Ron Zook. A few years before you got there,
with all those Baltimore DC guys, Aurelius Ben, Vontae Davis, absolutely, right.
A bunch of really good pros on those teams, and so he's always been a good recruiter. The question was, has he ever been able to get any team over the hump? I think 8 wins is the most he's ever had at Maryland, and now things are trending. Last year was really bad. I know they had injuries with Billy Edwards Jr. and stuff like that. But, this year, I think when you have a freshman quarterback, it's almost like it's an excuse to be like, maybe to the administration, I have a really good young team. They're all starting and contributing, and they're going to be really good, but you got to give me another year here. Do you think that's enough to save him for one more year?
I don't know. The crazy thing is with the turnover, like, Mike is one of the longest tenured coaches in the Big Ten, and he started the year after I left. So, he did build up, some cachet with multiple 8-win seasons in a row. I think they had 3 bowl victories in a row. But when you have multiple seasons of the opposite side, and you look at how it happened, and then you look at the guys who are leaving and going elsewhere. We had, Jayshon Baum, freshman All-American, number 1 player in the country, comes to Maryland, plays really well, goes to Michigan, and probably is going to be a high draft pick, but for somebody else. We had tight ends leave for Auburn and Alabama over the course of the last couple of years. Those guys were key contributors on much more competitive teams than the ones we're currently fielding. And it's like,
MD in Indiana.
yeah, going to Indiana now, and Maryland. When I say us, suffering from a really poor running game this year. After Roman was 1,000-yard rusher as a redshirt freshman. Those are the kind of things like, how many times does that happen, and you kind of just push it to the wayside. And currently they have the number 1 ranked recruit again from Baltimore, the same place that Barham came from, but like, he's going to see how the freshmen are producing in front of him, and he's going to say, okay, well, one, if they stay there, how much am I going to get to play, right? Like, now it becomes freshman All-American type guy. I'm a freshman coming in trying to do the same thing. Unless he knows that guy is leaving, which is another problem, it kind of just becomes this endless cycle of where do we actually see any improvement that is sustained, and then you build continuity. So it's a tough situation all around, because now we had an athletic director change, which kind of puts the program in a flux. Basketball is going through a bunch of things, and Maryland is known to be kind of a school that leans heavier towards that sport.
Maybe stingy.
Yeah, so it's just all around tough. I feel like it currently feels like we missed our window with those 3 strong seasons and not capitalizing on those moments, having some more close games with Ohio State and Michigan at home and missing out on those wins. And conversely, Illinois has, at least in the last couple of years, they've capitalized on even if it's just half of those opportunities.
Yeah.
The Penn State win with all the overtimes and stuff like that. Those games, even if you're just winning 1 or 2 of those a year, it keeps your program headed up instead of either stagnant or prone to moving downhill. And that's kind of the contrast of these 2 schools.
Right, and that's kind of what I was going to link out. I mean, Ryan does a better job than most, but like I try to follow, that are strictly an Illinois podcast, but try to follow what's going on in the rest of the Big Ten. Is Maryland lost 3 straight games by 4 points or less in games they had to lead late in the 4th quarter, and then you get the Indiana freight train coming in, which I'd like to hear your opinion on them as well, but. At what point, like as a player, is like those 3 losses mount up? Then you get your butt kicked, and then you lose the game against Maryland, where you're probably more talented than them. Rutgers, sorry, Rutgers, where you're more talented than them. Is it at the point where guys are just kind of like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go play football. I don't really give a crap what's happening. Like, I don't know. Like, where's that sit from a player's mentality, right?
Yeah, you can. It really depends on how many guys in the locker room are really committed to moving forward, and because they are so young, they probably do have a higher propensity to kind of just do their own thing at that point. That's what happened my senior year at Maryland. We started, I think, 5-3. And could have easily been, higher than that. But then we have 3 straight heavyweight games in a row where we just blew it late. Michigan State blew it right at the end. Did the same thing against Indiana. Had the game won. Ohio State 52-51. That kind of infamous moment that we missed there on senior day and everything like that against, I think they were number 5 at that point in time.
And then what was the last game to try to get to a bowl game, and it didn't
Penn
happen?
State, and we had nothing in that game. We had nothing left because the whole season had been, a roller coaster, from the coaching situation to our teammate passing away to, like I said, losing those 3 games in a row when we should have won all 3. At that point, nobody had any gas left in the tank. The guys who were getting ready to go to the NFL were worried about that. The coaches are all knowing we have to go look for jobs. So, not to kind of, do them dirty, but that's part of it, right? They're planning. They got to get ready to sell a house, got to get ready to move your family. Where am I going to go? Where am I interviewing? Who are my contacts? All of that is in motion over that Thanksgiving week. And we had nothing for that game. So because this happened to Maryland even earlier in the season, it becomes even more dangerous of at what point can you even stop that, that downhill spiral. You're going against Illinois, who's not a team who's probably going to give you a chance to right that ship.
Yeah, you're so correct. You looked at Illinois last year; they could have easily lost the Kansas game, found a way to win it. Went to Nebraska, go overtime there, found a way to win it. Go overtime Purdue, find a way to win it. get a gift timeout from Greg Schiano in the Rutgers game, find a way to win it. And then that compounds itself. You had a team that went 10-3 last year that probably from a pure talent standpoint was probably a 6-6, 7-5 team. They go 9-3 in the regular season and then balled out in the Citrus Bowl. And then it rolls into this year, and they find Illinois seems to find ways to win close games. It doesn't seem to bother them. Obviously, they got a mature quarterback. With Maryland, excuse me, Malik Washington ran 8 times for 164 yards. Like, they have not let him run. He has not run the ball much this year. Is that something you think Illinois needs to be prepared for more? Is that did they unleash him a little bit, if you will? Because he's a great passer, and I mean, he looks like an athlete, but I'm like, this kid doesn't run much, and that's all right. But is that going to be part of the game plan, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think him coming in as a freshman quarterback, having the reins, like it's how much do you want to put on his plate?
Sure.
And because he is a talented guy as a passer, they probably said, all right, like we're going to focus on this one bucket. Now, when you're one of the worst rushing teams in the Big Ten and probably the country, I think the last time I heard, let's just really poor running the ball. How can you get that spark? If you have a quarterback that can run like that, even if you're using him sparingly, that's something that can get that going. And that's what happened against Rutgers. Now, kind of was all to no avail and still losing that game there. But it's definitely an element that I would see them try and use. I think they're going to want to protect him because he's basically been this, the catalyst for all the positive things they've had going this year stem from him. And I don't know if they like what they have behind them very much. Just putting out a day one true freshman as a starter, that kind of lets you know what's going on.
Absolutely.
It seemed like, I believe the OC, is it Pep Hamilton? Is that the OC?
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like when I was just watching the game, because I love watching Big Ten football. If Illinois is on by, I usually watch the games, and I was listening, and it sounded like Loxley and Pep Hamilton were saying that they want to try to incorporate the RPO more with his legs to add a little something to the offense, because they nothing against scoring 10 on Indiana. Not a lot of people. Illinois scored 10 on Indiana. Only scored 17 against UCLA. They were just wanting to kind of spice it up a little bit. So it sounded like Pep Hamilton and them were trying to incorporate him with his legs more. It sounded, and what it looked like is they got a bunch of yards rushing, but really didn't do much through the air, which was interesting because normally that's how their offense had worked all year. But yeah, Rutgers also has a bad run defense. So it was just weird to see, because I thought it was going to be like a shootout, and seeing Maryland only have 20 points made me kind of think something was up there. But I was just curious your take on that with them against Illinois. I mean, you think they're going to go back to throwing the ball more probably?
I mean, I think that's what's been their strong suit for the majority of the season. So, if I'm calling plays, yeah, I want to get the RPO game involved, because when you're struggling in the run game, the easiest way to back people up is by having the threat of a pass. Whether it's setting that up once or twice, hitting a slant over the linebackers, and then now they're hesitant. Now, those 2-yard runs turn into 4 and 5 yard runs, and that's the difference in sustaining drives. So, I like the idea, I like the concept, but I want to see it put into action. And, I think Illinois is going to be a more physical defense than Rutgers. And, I know Schiano has their teams well coached. They're never going to be bad on the discipline side of things, but in terms of talent, I would definitely lean Illinois' way on that end. So, I don't think they're going to line up and suddenly be able to be extremely physical in a way that they haven't shown against, Gabe and all those guys that Illinois is going to line up on the front end. On the back end, we'll see. The Illinois secondary has been competitive and it has made plays at times. And Maryland's had some games where they've had a ton of big plays in the past game, and they've had games where it's really struggled. So it's kind of a toss-up of what game we're going to get on that side of the ball. But it's youth versus experience on either end.
Before we get to predictions here, because I want to get your take. And what's your thought from afar, from Tampa, watching what Brett Bielema's done to Illinois? Is it surprising to see Illinois being able to do this? Like, did you think they were going to get back to being a pretty good team? Maybe just needed a new leader, or just your take from watching Illinois and your thought on them overall as a team this year.
I always thought that with the right individual at the helm, that there's no reason that they couldn't, get back to the success that they were having in the early 2000s. Like, even when I got there, I didn't feel like we had the most proven staff. And that first year, my team goes 6-6 when I'm redshirting. And the next year, if it weren't for Tim getting fired the day before the week before the first game, we probably would have been an 8-9 win team that year, just off of the camaraderie and the progress we've made, because we were a top 25 defense my redshirt freshman year, and we didn't have nearly the talent that a bunch of other teams had. But we didn't follow through on the offensive end. We lost a bunch of one-score games, Iowa that year, Minnesota, Northwestern. We let that one slip away in Soldier Field in Chicago, which I still never understood why they give away all the Champaign home games to play there. But, it is what it is.
Doing it anymore.
Yeah, and Josh came in and he really righted the ship, started with basketball, and you could tell, it felt like he was the right leader for the athletic department. Now the leader for the football program, I feel, drastically different about. And we kind of see, how that came to be. Brett came in and instantly things looked different. They felt different. The buy-in is different. The crowds that are showing up, where were all those people, all those years? They were waiting for the right person to be there and to see what needs to be put on the field in order to, invest money and time and effort into the program. And he's got it all rolling. So it's awesome to see from afar.
They were drinking beer in the parking lots while I was yelling at them to come into the game with me, Trey. That's what they were doing. I mean, that's for real.
Yeah. I know.
I've been to so many games where Illinois was not a competitive football team, or even the 5 and 7 years, which is you're right there, and I'm yelling at my friends to come in, and they're like, "No, we're not going to go in." I'm like, "All right, I get there before kickoff, and I'm there to the end of the game. It's just my thing." So,
by the way, we have Riley O'Toole on the show once in a while. So
there you go.
Yeah, and I know you guys were teammates your redshirt year.
Yeah,
I was at the Penn State game when nobody was there, and you guys beat them.
Oh, that game was so weird.
And the game went Dave Reisner, game-winning field goal to help you guys.
I was there too.
With like 500 other fans, man. We were just having a blast.
Yeah. That was the game the Saturday going into Thanksgiving break. So all the students were gone. It was cold and windy and miserable.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Penn State was supposed to whoop the heck out of us, and we won off of, wasn't it 6 field goals? I don't think we scored a touchdown.
I think it was 18-15. Or
yeah. And Dave was our third string kicker to start that year.
Yes.
So it was crazy. No, man, Penn State gave away that game because Hackenberg went out of bounds when he didn't have to. And then they ended up punting, and we got in field goal range.
And then the Riley game up in Northwestern, man.
He took over, and Mikey finished out, probably the best freshman wide receiver season in Illinois history.
Don't make us all sad. Don't make us all sad, Trey.
Hey, it's just
Mikey Dudek.
Reminisce some good Illini times with you, because there were some good times.
Yeah, there were plenty, man. Look, I looked forward to us, because Mikey was in my class, and he and Malik were the only freshmen that played as true freshmen, and we knew what he was going to do and bring to the table. We saw it. The fact that I never got to see it more than one game next to me was just what sucked. I felt for him, and it's part of the game. I experienced the injuries as a pro, so I got a familiarity with that side now. I'll tell you that, but it was rough.
And just one quick question though. You talked about Dudek and Malik. Malik's still trying. Like, he's still every now and then I'll see him pop up playing a game in the NFL. I'm so happy for him. Saw he shined out. What was in the XFL or the AFL, whatever that was, the end of the year. You keep up with any of your old Illinois guys? Who you keep up with from dudes you played with back in the Illinois days?
Yeah, no, I mean, I got plenty of friends from those days, man. I mean, last year a bunch of us were at Jeff George's wedding in Indiana.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, like Jeff was my roommate, Chris James was my roommate. We were all kind of a little group, Kendrick Foster. So talk with as many of them as I can. Talk to Malik on social media after a couple weeks ago when he had gotten elevated. He made like three tackles on special teams, had a couple catches for the 49ers. So No, it's really cool to see guys, be able to stick around and do their thing.
Jihad
And
Ward's still out there making money.
Jihad is still getting a sack and doing his same king celebration, putting the crown on.
I remember Middle Tennessee
Yes,
sack, missed field goal, I remember those moments, and just awesome having you guys can still be cool, Geronimo Allison your teammate?
yeah.
Okay.
Gmo, Ted Karras was up there. Yeah, no, we had some players who made it to the NFL, and some of them sustained some really, really strong careers. So
Yeah.
It's been cool to see.
All right, let's get to predictions.
We kept you too long, Trey. Thank you so much for this, man.
Yeah,
really
but it's fun to reminisce a little bit.
It's all good.
Yeah, we'll start with you, Trey. With coming off of the 35-20 loss to Rutgers, we talked about mindset. Illinois is a 14.5-point favorite. I know that doesn't always mean everything, but with obviously Illinois has got a really, really good offense. Defense had a really good game against Rutgers, had a good game plan. They coming off a bye week. I think Kevin is Brett. You said Brett Bielema 6-2 after a bye week. Is that correct?
Yeah, undefeated at home off a bye week against Spirit, Illinois. Yeah.
All right, so they're pretty good at preparing after bye weeks. What's your overall take here and your prediction for the game Saturday?
I mean, I hit on it a little bit already, but I don't see how, with what's been going on with Maryland, I don't see how they're able to right the ship this week against this team. A team that's led by Brett, the way he's been operating off of a bye week, and with some opportunities still out there, really faint playoff hopes. But hey, faint just means it's not zero, so I'm not mad at it anyway. And a bunch of talented guys. I just don't see them being able to do enough. I hope it's a competitive game because, I mean, that's just, kind of the football player in me and the alum of both schools. Like, man, I want to see it be competitive. Last time they played, I was there at Maryland. And it was Maryland's homecoming, and Maryland had a great season going. And Illinois, surprised them and beat them at the end of the game. So, I don't think that's happening this time on the other end. But, yeah, I mean, I think, I'm never really good with the exact scores, but I think this is like a 17-point spread type of game, like 30-13, something like that. I don't see Maryland being able to get going consistently. I think the run game struggles continue, and Luke probably is a guy who it seems like he's not going to be the one who turns the ball over a lot, which basically all of Maryland's defensive success has been turnover based. Anytime someone is going to be patient and drive down the field, they give them an opening, short, deep, intermediate. Everyone finds the opening. Rutgers found a bunch of guys open, and Rutgers hasn't looked like a great offense at all this year, but they did against Maryland. So I think, more of the same continues there, unfortunately, and Illinois gets a pretty easy win for the most part.
Kev,
and you said before the show, Trey, that you still pull for Illinois when they're not playing Maryland for the most part. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I'm not.
Could be at a bowl game in Tampa again this year.
I wouldn't be mad at it when they came down. I think that was right before it switched from or actually it might have been the first year that it switched to Reliant Quest. Yeah. Everyone was down here, and they had the alumni events, and so my family and I went to a couple of those. We had a good time. We went to the game. I hope they're able to get here because the school that I coach at actually hosts one of the teams for practices and stuff like that. So I'd be able to check all that out too.
If they make it, Kev, you going if it gets to Tampa?
Yeah, absolutely. Tampa, Florida in December. Yeah, you ain't got to ask me twice, man.
Yeah, hanging out around New Year's time. You know what I mean? Get some good drinks, a little beach action. You're hanging out.
Illinois seems to like some Newton boys from the Tampa area too.
They've taken that whole bloodline over there from Clearwater, St. Petersburg area. Every one of them goes there. So it's working
Kev,
out.
It is. Your take,
Ryan. I'm gonna hold off on my prediction for Fade the Deuce. We do a college football gambling podcast on Wednesday nights, and if we don't have me and my co-host with Ryan's the facilitator, and then me and my co-picker. If we can't find a fifth game, we always try to throw the Illinois game in there. I'm not as confident as Trey, but I think Illinois probably wins this game.
Okay. Well, you know what? Then I'll wait till that is then as well. So well, appreciate your time, Trey. I know we've had you on here for 35, but I know you're probably cool with it. So what is your podcast that you're doing again for the Packers?
Yeah. So it's Hitman's Haven podcast, man. So it's not just Packers. It's NFL football. We're talking everything related to the game, what's going on around the football world, and then we hit on the Packers a little bit here and there, and give updates and stuff like that. But yeah, we're on every week. Generally, our episodes drop on Thursdays. Check us out. Like, we're super active on social media. We're on all the podcast places: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all that. Trying to kind of continue that going, and obviously being that Green Bay's up there in the Midwest, we have a naturally kind of built-in flow, and there's some rivalry with the Bears, and Bears fans interact with us on Twitter all the time. So I'm not mad at it. We can keep it going.
I'll be popping in and checking that out for sure. And then where can folks find you on Twitter? MDQ33 still, right?
Yeah. MDQUE _33 Trey _Watson 33 on Instagram. Yeah, man.
Awesome. We're super glad to have you on here. And look, if Illinois gets down to that ReliaQuest Bowl, I know Kev will at least be there to try to hang out. And so we appreciate you.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Thanks so much, Trey. Appreciate your time, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yeah. God bless. Former Illini, Trey Watson, former Maryland Terrapin. Good guy. Overall, great guy. So
grad from both schools. Yeah, did things right. Graduated from Illinois.
You could tell
that was before you could do like the transfer portal and just be immediately eligible. You had to do it as a grad transfer. So awesome stuff.
Yeah, academic All-American, or I believe All Big Ten. Yeah, but still graduated. He has a degree from Illinois and Maryland. So now let's transition to Illinois basketball. Illinois takes on Texas. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just, as we're previewing this Maryland game, the one thing, and I probably talk a little bit more about it on Fade the Deuce, is that's a defense that, like Trey said, really thrives itself in takeaways. They're like 100th in the nation in rush defense and 77th in pass defense. This is a defense that Illinois can take advantage of offensively. Yeah. They do have the ability to scare us a little bit from an offensive standpoint, especially with Malik Washington's legs. I look for Illinois to control the ball on the ground and control the time of clock and force Maryland into some things where it's just that's my thought.
Let me tell you, Kev, they are genuinely beat up, and
they are.
And they are just. I watched that. That's why Rutgers literally could. The only time they stopped Rutgers on Saturday was when Rutgers threw an interception off a dropped pass on the 1 yard line. Like it was an interception on the goal line, which should have been a touchdown. Like it was a drive that Rutgers just went all the way down the field pretty much with ease, like they did the whole rest of the game. Maryland had nothing. They didn't have any resistance. And I was just kind of surprised to see that. But as he mentioned and alluded to, young, banged up. So if Illinois loses this game to Saturday to Maryland, that means Illinois is going to. I'm going to be honest. They have to have unmotivated and have packed it in. But I don't believe that that's the case. I think this team is wanting to finish off to get to 9 wins and see where they're at, because I think Illinois is definitely going to be ranked again by the time they're 8-3 this year if they can do that. So. And just make it interesting that last week to see who loses and see how high up in the rankings Illinois can get, even if it's maybe 20, 19, 20, but I think they can get to that by the time the season's over. So, before giving I think Illinois is definitely going to cover 14.5. So, let's get to the hoops. Illinois, Texas Tech, huge game Tuesday, 7:30.
Fun, man. That's going to be a blast, dude.
JT Toppin, 31-14.
Christian Anderson, dude is a stud.
Yes. But I can tell you this. Illinois is the best, longest, most skilled team they've played this year. And that's
sure.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So, Illinois hosts we'll see where the rankings. I think the hoops rankings come out tomorrow morning, right?
Tomorrow, yeah. They wait. The hoops rankings will wait till after the NFL season to start putting them on Sundays. So
Okay, so Illinois probably moved it up maybe a couple spots to 15,
yeah,
maybe, and I think Texas Tech maybe like 7 or 8 after this week's teams in the top 10 losing. Other than that, I think maybe 9 at the worst. But Illinois, they're not going to be they're not going to be out of the top 10. We know that. So Illinois is going to be taking on a top 10 team, Texas Tech. And it sounds like Brad Underwood thinks JT Toppin, could be one of the best player in the country. We'll see.
well, I mean, he's preseason first team All American. Some people have him as preseason player of the year. He's Obi's brother, who's in the NBA, and yeah, JT's a phenomenal basketball player. He's a big guy. He doesn't really shoot the three much. He's gonna body you up. He's that power forward that has given Illinois fits for years, and hopefully we can avoid some of that. So.
I honestly think Big Z is a better defender than Tommy, by the way, Brandon. He blocks shots, though. Yes. That at the end of the day, I would say this. Can he body up guys as good? No. But did we see Tommy get bodied a lot last year? Yes. And Tommy doesn't really block shots at a high rate. Big Z has. Big Z always has. He just didn't play a lot of minutes at Kentucky. And the minutes per 40 minutes, if you look at his block shots, they were pretty good from Big Z. And when you saw him get as many minutes as he did, I know it was Florida Gulf Coast, but he's still 6'8", 6'10" on the front line. He was going against guys of that nature. He's not going to be battling 7'3" guys at Texas Tech. I think 6'10", maybe 6'8". And don't get me wrong, JT Toppin is not the guys from Florida Gulf Coast. But at the end of the day, it's all about timing. And I think Big Z's got that, man. We talked about that a little bit. He wasn't jumping on pump fakes. He was staying on the ground, which is really positive to see. So Sean Garner's asking about timetable. Behind the scenes, Kev, I've heard 2 to 3 weeks, they think, for Tomislav.
Yeah, it's one of these games. I'd feel very confident that Illinois could win with Tommy being readily available. I think we're still waiting on Mahalo to come back, and my guess is Mahalo might be able to get some run. But do you want to put him in now, or do you kind of want to roll with what you got? The thing about Tommy that changes things is so much that the dynamic of he's a more consistent shooter than Zvonimir. And he is such a great facilitator on the cuts. I really think that Tommy will elevate Stojakovic's game to a level that this team becomes just hyper elite offensively. They're already really, really good offensively. I think they become hyper elite offensively. But everybody wants to talk about Toppin. I mean, Christian Anderson that guy is legit. He dropped something like 34 his first game. 6'3" sophomore out of Atlanta.
He's a speed demon, man. He's quick as nail.
He really is, and he's the guy who's given Illinois some troubles. Last year he was a 10-point a game guy, I think, but this year he's kind of taking the reins. So he was one of those guys, kind of like Colin Boswell, towards the end of the season, really started to score, had multiple points in multiple games in the 20s in the back half of last year. Ended up being a 3 seed. Grant McCaslin's teams were really good. They're going to rebound well. They're going to push us. They're going to push us on the glass like we haven't been pushed. It should be it's going to be a fun game. And this is the reason why I say it's fun. And I know that we've got a lot of people in here as we were talking to Trey and we're getting ready for Maryland that want to talk about basketball, and rightfully so. But what makes these non-conference games so fun against a team like Texas Tech is it really doesn't mean anything. I mean, sure, it does in the grand scheme of things.
It'll help you for quad 1 wins in March. I mean, yeah.
For sure, but Illinois is going to have plenty of those opportunities. When you look at the teams that we have on the schedule, you got UCLA, you got Michigan, you got
Alabama,
you got UConn, you got Alabama, you got Missouri, you got all these teams that are going to be quad 1 opportunities because of not only who you're playing, but where you're playing them. That Illinois can lose this game, and it doesn't damage the season at all, especially if you're going to lose it with a couple of key players out. You just like it for the cohesiveness. So I really like this Texas Tech team. It's a team I thoroughly enjoy watching. I think Grant McCaslin's a young rising star in college basketball. Be interested to see how he keeps people in Lubbock. I will be at the game next year in Lubbock. I'm going to make that drive and go over to that one. That'll be a lot of fun. But it's gonna be a really, really interesting game for the Illini.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as you said, though, I've watched both their games. I gotta be honest though, Sam Houston, man, was in that game with like 12 minutes left still, and Texas Tech pulled away. The fact that this game's in Champaign, though, I like.
Huge. Yes, the fans are gonna be raucous for this one, man.
And this is that's gonna be an advantage here. What's the line on this game?
It's not out yet. I think that there's some worry or speculation whenever you have injuries, like wondering whether or not guys are going to be back. And I really don't think Tommy plays.
No, I don't either. Is that what are they? How can they? What are they waiting on then?
Well, they don't know.
Okay,
they're waiting on Vegas will wait on some injury reports and things of that nature. So I imagine we might get a line tomorrow. We might get it Tuesday.
Here is my question. You might know it. Maybe it's
this is why we don't do a college basketball podcast on spreads because if we were just going to do weekend games, a lot of like you listen to the Eye on College Basketball guys, they run it off what KenPom projections are, not what actual Vegas lines are. And I don't have a KenPom subscription. I'm not going to pay for it. So
yeah. So my question would be to you, and maybe nobody knows, but how would Vegas get injury reports on to know if a guy like Tomislav's going to play or not if you can't talk about it?
When the injury report comes out.
Yeah. Okay. And that injury report's not going to come out till Tuesday. So
correct.
So they're not going to have a line until Tuesday?
It's very common in NCAA basketball to not have a game until Tuesday morning.
Okay. Because I mean, we all know Underwood's going to be coy about it. So it's not like he's going to talk tomorrow when he talks about Texas Tech in his presser. He's not going to come out and say, oh, yeah, Tomislav looks like he's going to go. So right. Brandon's saying take the over. So maybe he knows. Maybe he knows what the KenPom is saying. I don't know about it.
Well, like for instance, you go look at the Tuesday games and like there's a line for Louisville and Kentucky right now. Shockingly high line of 118, 170. I think they're thinking at games like 88, 82. But like there's none for ours. We don't even have an over-under. Ball State, Wisconsin, nothing. Like Creighton, Gonzaga, nothing. So it'll just take some time for those lines to come out. I do think over is probably a good bet. I think Illinois, like we talked a little bit about the FGCU game. I think they defended really well until the end of the game, and that guy caught a heater, the former Notre Dame player. That guy's a pretty good ball player.
Yeah, that guy's good.
Yeah. But overall, like, I mean, that offense, and that's without Tommy, that offense is really good, man. It is really
I got a first-hand look at it, dude, for like 15 rows up. So it was just so much. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was just so much going on. Like my son, who's 5, isn't really into sports per se, but like he was just watching them throw the ball around and like shooting it from deep. Kylan taking back pedal and shooting threes, step back threes. Keaton Wagler shooting 25-footers. That David Merkovic catching it on fast break, boom, hitting the big Z for the slam. You know what I mean? Just even Jack's just two-hand thunder chunkies, 2 of them off cuts. It's just, and then I will say, I understand why Stojakovic was pressing early.
Yeah.
That's just a normal thing for a guy who hasn't played, who just wants to get into the feel of the game. You force a couple shots and to get a feel for it. And then he made that tough fadeaway. It was his first basket.
Yeah, on the baseline, it was nice.
And his first shot of the year was a wide open 3 off a beautiful feed. And I was thinking in the corner there, the right corner, I was like, if he hits this, you can tell he's going to be feeling himself. But you could tell he was rusty. But you're
gonna need his length and athleticism from the wing perspective Tuesday night. I expect him to play some more minutes. I expect Jake Davis to probably is the guy who's going to lose out there. The one aspect of this team is everybody there's a lot of role clarity for guys who are new. Guys seem to just know what they're supposed to do. You pointed out, Jax, this is get in there, defend and rebound and go get a cut, dunk, and do what you got to do. Rick House.
Shoot the open threes when you get them.
Yeah, go crash the glass and get a little tip dunk action.
Yeah, and he's actually pretty good at that.
He is, man.
He's been doing that for last year. He had a couple of those. And then
Tennessee, he got a big old one against Tennessee. I remember that.
and I'm just gonna. We haven't discussed it yet since we're just going to now. How smooth, in control, and just incredible does Keaton Wagler look?
Amazing.
Amazing.
It'll be interesting. He's guarding one of the probably top 5 to 10 guards in the country. Well, he's not going to guard him, but he's probably going to be guarded by him at times.
Yeah, Boswell's going to be guarding Anderson. I mean,
right, but is Christian Anderson going to be able to speed Wagler up because he looks unflappable. Like he just is like everything, like nothing bothers him, dude. He's cool as a cucumber. So, and then we've got some questions about Brandon Lee. I have no idea about Brandon Lee. He's in a boot, but I mean, listen, his whole thing, let that guy heal. Brandon Lee's role on this team is a 5 to 10 minute defensive stopper, come in and maybe make a play at the rim. Like that's his role. It is a loss, don't get me wrong, but you're really talking about your 8th, 9th, 10th man somewhere in that line of the rotation. More worried about Tommy's health, Mahalo's health. I think Mahalo might play, to be honest with you.
Is that kind of what you're hearing behind the scenes?
I mean, I just, the rumors were like if Jackson State was a tournament game that everybody would have been available. So I have to wonder if it's like, you're going to be ready for this one.
And Brad just keeps saying he's progressing well. He's progressing. So let's see.
That's just a rumor too. I mean, I don't have any inside information. Like you said last week, nobody's giving that out now. So
I'm telling you, you and everybody watching this, the people that say they have the updated injury report, that is over now with the FBI probes, with this betting and gambling now on college basketball and things of that sort, even more intensifying. I just want everybody to know, if you have a source that you're paying for a subscription on the injuries of guys, you don't, because they're not risking their jobs anymore. If it shows or it comes back and the FBI, let's say they get a warrant for such and such coach's phone and they want to know, have you been tipping off people about injuries?
Right.
And they lie about it, and then they go through their phone, which they'll be able to track. You were sending all these pay sites who was injured and who wasn't. They're done. So and they're not playing that game anymore. So I just want everybody to know that. Mahalo was taking shots and working out before he was, but that also doesn't mean his hammy's 100%.
And it's one of those things that you've got to, I keep going back to the Bears. They rushed back Jalen Johnson, and now he's hopefully back by the end of the season. They rushed back Kyler Gordon, and now he's out again. And
what did Trey say about his brother earlier?
Yeah,
that the Packers rushed Christian Watson back, and he wasn't ready.
He might have said that off air, but.
Oh, okay. Well, but even if he just saying, it is what it is. I mean,
right, absolutely.
Yeah. So the point is that people and places do that because they want to win. That's the bottom line, and it's not okay and you can't really say these guys are just student athletes anymore. They are paid players. So when people are getting paid like a job, sometimes some people will put you out there even if you're not 100%. I genuinely don't think the staff's doing that, though. I don't think this training staff's doing it. I don't think Adam Fletcher would do it, and I know Brad Underwood and those guys wouldn't want to risk Mahalo, because I think they know deep down they've got a Final Four run in them if they can keep all these guys healthy. So no doubt. And then, But your final takeaways from what you saw against Florida Gulf Coast. Back-to-back 113-point performances.
We had 2 games this past week. We hung 113 in both, just like you said, and we could have hung a lot more. Now, the one thing about this team is this isn't like some of the old Illinois teams in the past, just because of the way the scholarships are set up and how deep it is. There were Illinois teams in the past where you're up 105 to 40, whatever, against Jackson State, and next thing you know, you got 5 walk-ons coming out. Like, we just don't have that opportunity anymore. And so the thing is, like, I think we let off the gas, but we didn't let it off that much. Where we really did let off the gas is defensively against FGCU late, which is fine. You win your first 2 games by a combined 101 points, and you're shooting 56% from the field, and you scorch the thing is, it's done so differently. Against Jackson State, we make one shy of a school record and 17 threes. The next game, we shoot 11 for 31. Like, granted, 6, that's 18 points difference. That's significant. The team was attacking the rim. This is a really, really good offensive team. It's going to be really intriguing to see what they are against a real high-level competitive team in Texas Tech. And then you follow it up with the ultimate trap game against a pretty decent Colgate team that gave Michigan State a run for their money on Friday night. That's sandwiched in between Texas Tech and Alabama. So,
there is one guy on the staff that knows them pretty well, though.
Yeah, just a little bit. Cam Crocker. Oh, by the way, Illinois comes and shows a zone against FGCU. We ran it a couple of times, and then late in the shot clock switched to man. That's such a beautiful thing. That just throws teams for a loop. They just don't. They're really wondering what they're going to do. So
I guarantee you're going to see something like that against Texas Tech.
Yeah, and hey, here's the thing. Yeah, Jackson State is not a particularly good team. Whether the SWAC, I forgot what conference they're in. They're picked to finish 3rd in that conference. They won almost. I think they went undefeated in conference play last year after being defeated in non-con because they played everybody and their brother.
I saw them actually play Louisville way better than they played us.
They did, and then FGCU is predicted like 3rd in their conference. So the A-Sun. These are not good basketball teams in the sense of college basketball.
They're not laughing stocks either.
They're not the Longwoods that we played a few years ago or Maryland Eastern Shore. These teams are decent basketball teams, and we thumped them.
And they didn't look like they belonged on the same court for good chunks of. I'm gonna be honest. When I was watching some of it, besides that last little chunk where the former Notre Dame guy went off, and he looked like he could be a pro, man. I was like thinking, this looks like what we would have seen like an exhibition of like Illinois playing the D2, D3 school. Like I
think the best team Illinois played that we've been able to watch so far is Illinois State. That's a pretty decent basketball team. So
yeah, and that was without Stojakovic, Tomislav, right?
And without their best players, some of their best guys too. So yeah. It's this week. Hey, listen, some game time 7:30 FS1. And then 8:00 Friday night will be a BTN Plus game. So gotta have the subscription if you want to watch that one. So
okay, and if you can go to it, maybe try that too, because Friday night in State Farm Center was fun. I'm telling you, it's just a lively, fun atmosphere. I would be worried to a little bit of a degree if it wasn't for Cam Crocker on the staff. I also know Illinois always has played Colgate in the past, and they hung around within 10 to 15 points for a little bit of time. Then Illinois pushed it to like 20. They just play a different style. And let me tell you, if someone's going to have them ready, Cam Crocker will. Like, there's a specific way to beat how they play. So other than that,
yeah, and it's tough for really deep old teams to really have legit trap games. That's something that happens to like young teams that are really relying on like 1 or 2 guys, right? This team, any one of 7, 8 guys could lead this team in scoring on a given night. So by the way, really bad job of us, Ryan, not giving Kylan Boswell his flowers. My goodness, that guy. Tommy could be the best player when he's healthy. Andres could be the best player when he's healthy. It's Kylan Boswell's team, though.
Yeah, and yeah. So we'll take the duns on that. But I want to say this: if anybody's watched this show, we've been talking about how Kylan Boswell's been looking elite and sounding like he's been playing his best ball of his career. So,
Bam, love it.
No excuse. With Bam is continuing his super form, and for Illinois to get where it needs to be, it's got to continue. But always have loved his swagger, his competitive edge, and if he's making shots, man, deep shots, he's tough to defend. So because he's going to get to the free throw line, we know that.
Yep. Brandon says it best. The 2-year leap is very real with him. So
let's go ahead and get to final thoughts here, Kev. I'll let you start.
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time with me when it comes up to this point in the season, and you're looking at. I'm gonna stick in the season that is full swing go right now, and obviously basketball is, but like we are on the precipice of what could be back-to-back 9-win regular seasons. I know that the college football playoff is, and I know I talked about it at the end of Fade the Deuce the other night, it's a little bit of a pipe dream. There's actually some things that happened that were pretty good for Illinois on Saturday. Some things that didn't happen for Illinois, but it's going to be like that every week. There's going to be a week of chaos coming up. Get your butt in the stands if you can go. Like, please, like, if you can make that game, be there, be loud, be proud, be good for these guys. They've got two final. Hey, just listen, you've got 2 chances left to see Luke Altmaier play in Memorial Stadium. You've got 2 chances left to see Gabe Akis play in Memorial Stadium. You've got 2 more chances, and I know this doesn't resonate with fans, but it does with me, like most fans, but it does with me. J.C. Davis is an NFL draft pick. You've got 2 more games to watch that guy play at the University of Illinois. And guys like James Thompson and guys who decided to come here and leave it all out on the line for this program in their last year. You got 2 more chances to watch them. Please get in the stadium. So it looks like Saturday's going to be a pretty decent day, if I recall, Ryan, from a weather standpoint.
70s.
Yeah. So.
Trust me, and I don't know if you look at what it's like right now here.
Yeah.
It's 24 with a wind chill of like 15. And we had some snow flurries through here. And just
I watched the Bears game. I watched the Bears game today. It was snowing. So
yeah, an hour or 2 north, it was even worse. In Wisconsin, if you guys watched the Wisconsin-Washington game, and by the way, that was big for Illinois too. I want everybody to know that because
it hurt and it helped.
We needed Washington to get out of the way, even though they beat us. How was the only way they were going to get behind us, even though they beat us? That's lose to a 2-6 Wisconsin team.
Yep. So
it doesn't matter that they beat us. Their resume will never be better as long as Illinois takes care of business. Yep. So with that said, I will be there Saturday. I'm going to keep doing my part. I'm going to love it. I love celebrating with the fireworks and the touchdowns. You left off one thing. It's probably Barry Lunny's second to last game in Champaign.
Yeah.
As well. And I have loved every year that he's been the OC, and he's just brought just something. It's just been fun to watch Illinois offense with Barry Lunny, you know? And that was something that we took for granted for a long time, I think, because it was so bad. We just didn't realize what it could be like to have a fun offense, you know? Like there were so many years where we were like, remember Tony Peterson's first year?
Oh, gosh. 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Remember the Levy Smith's final years? It was, again, we were lucky to get in field goal range. So just to have, you know, Luke Altmaier and this offense has been amazing. But my final thought is a couple things. Congrats to Shauna Green's Illinois women's team, 2-0. They took
Barry Wallace. Baller.
Barry Wallace has been a baller, man. Y'all didn't know? You better check her out. And the awesome youngsters, the freshmen, diaper dandies that Illinois got on the women's team. A very good Illinois State team, by the way. The Illinois State women's team probably has a chance to win the Valley this year. I think they may be picked first or second. But so Shauna Green knew it wasn't going to be an easy game. Illinois State just beat her former team, Dayton, by 12 points.
Oh,
Illinois State's for real. So Illinois beating them today by double digits was a nice home win. So with that said, a huge key here for football recruiting. So you know I do my damn thing, and I will dive in and I will investigate. So I had a bunch of people telling me that Nick Hankins and Jacob Eberhardt went and visited Mizzou over the weekend. They went and watched Texas A&M whip that ass, which is
cool.
Fun. Yeah, I was happy that they got to see Mizzou not be able to beat a ranked team. That's what Eli Drinkovich does at Mizzou. He can't beat good teams. He takes care of all the average teams. So I checked in with my boy Jacob Eberhardt, who we've had on the show here. And so Mizzou folks on their sites are all saying, we're going to flip 2 of Illinois' top guys, you know, and people were just assuming it was those 2 because, well, they were at the game. Jacob Eberhardt told me, sent me a picture of him in his Illini gear today and said he's 100% locked in. He's staying. He ain't leaving Illinois. And then I said, what about your boy Hankins? And he said, no, he's staying for sure. He's like, we're staying, dude. Nothing wrong with kids wanting to go check out a game if you're getting invited to go. But I do know Bielema and staff aren't big fans of it. but I don't think that they're definitely not going to take kids' scholarships away of that sort. But anyway, just wanted to calm some heads here on the football recruiting front as we're getting to signing day, because I know a lot of people back then were kind of worried. I had a bunch of people messaging me about it. So, I'm going to do my 60 minutes investigation.
Well, I mean, Missouri's going to have to play a Mississippi State team that can score. Granted, Georgia gave them the business this past week, but Missouri's going to have trouble. Missouri's going to have trouble moving the ball against anybody. Mississippi State's defense is not that good, but that's a possible loss for Missouri. Then they go to Oklahoma. I don't like their chances in that one. They finish in a rivalry game against Arkansas, which can put up a lot of points. And if you can't keep up with them, it's a rivalry game, whether people want to believe it or not, don't realize it from around here. They don't like each other. So there's a chance this 6-3 Missouri team could end up the season 7-5. Playing in some scrub bowl while Illinois is hanging out in Tampa, being one of the first teams left outside of the college football playoff. You tell me where you want to go if you're Nick Hankins or Everhart.
Yeah, looking for back-to-back 10-win seasons. So,
Right. Like I think Illinois is in a lot better position to finish this season better than Missouri. Dink, whatever his freaking name is going to be mentioned for some bigger jobs. So, that's another thing that we didn't talk about with Watson is like Wisconsin made a smart move in not firing Fickle because you're low on the totem pole for jobs. Maryland would be the same way. I would not be surprised to see Loxley keep his job as well.
It's just going to really hurt their season ticket sales, which is a huge revenue source. I mean, that's the big thing. The only reason they're talking about
who are you going to get?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah,
I understand it. I'm just saying that it is going to hurt their season ticket sales and people renewing and all that, because nobody is going to care and come back to watch Luke Fickle ball again next year. But that's what they're going to have. But they can preach young, talented kids because Wisconsin's got a hell of a good young defensive players on that team. I was watching them play against Washington. They're good.
Their defense is very good. Yep.
Yep. So other than that, we'll be back with Fade the Deuce Wednesday night. We're going to break down Illinois, Maryland a little more in depth with Matt McCumber. We'll go over the spread, what we think, will Illinois cover or not. I know I've already given mine. I think Illinois does cover, but Matt and Kev will go over that. Other than that, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, please do. We keep doing what we got to do to build.
Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. We appreciate it. Swami out.
ILL.
I, and you know what that means.
Ryan and Kevin spitting the truth.
Orange and blue, yeah, talk that. Project like, project. Ryan and Kevin, they're spitting the truth, keeping it real, keeping it orange and blue. Talking recruit, who's next in line? Line our pride, it's about that time. Orange and blue, yeah, that's how we do. Post-game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue. From the court to the field, every play, every step. Debating the cause where the game is at. Who's rising, who's falling, who's making the cut. Line 9 for life, never stuck in the rut. Okay, recruiting buzzer got the inside line. Post-game chatter, they're always on time. Breaking it down, they're the voices you trust. Orange and blue, yeah, they repping for us. Orange and blue, yeah, that's how we do. Post-game vibes, breaking it through. Ryan and Kevin, the crew that you knew. Keeping it fresh, keeping it orange and blue, yeah. So tune in, lean back, let the wisdom flow. Ryan and Kevin with the knowledge they throw. Line 9 Nation, this one's for you. Forever proud, keeping it orange and blue, yeah. Orange and blue,